Okay, so this is my exam. So the first question, explain the process of pre-production. So pre-production is pretty much just planning for the production. How is it going to work? So in pre-production, you usually will have a schedule for everyone that's involved that has the dates and times of everything that is going to be taking place. You also probably will have a contact list of everyone that's involved and an equipment list. So all the equipment that you need, that will all be listed out. And so pre-production really has to be successful in order for the production and the post-production phases to be successful. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, what are the most important steps in the process and define them? So there are lots of important steps in the pre-production process. As I said before, the pre-production process has to be successful in order for the rest of the processes to be successful. So in the pre-production phase, you have your project proposal, premise, synopsis, treatment, script breakdown, production schedules, budgets, and storyboards. So the project proposal is kind of a summary that is used to promote your piece or your project. So this, when you're thinking about it, you can think in terms of what the project is going to be and kind of like what the material is. So whenever you think of a project proposal, you usually are going to be thinking about the what of the project. Um, the premise, that is kind of just like a short and sweet statement that sums up the story or the subject matter of the project. So for the project proposal, we thought about what the project is going to be. For the premise, you're going to be thinking about the why. What purpose does this serve for the audience? And kind of like what is the audience going to be getting out of that? So that's premise. The synopsis is next, and that is kind of a short paragraph that describes the basic storyline of the piece. And through this, you're going to kind of walk the audience through the story. So this can be pretty broad. It's also kind of like a theme for your project. Um, Next, we have the treatment, and the treatment is a really important step in the pre-production process because it is kind of a detailed summary of the plot, the characters, the scene, um, and you're kind of going to be talking about how are you planning on capturing this material. So when you're thinking about that, you can use audio and video references. Um, so the treatment, since it is a detailed summary, it's going to be a lot more specific than the synopsis would be. Um, Next, we have the script, and obviously the script is just kind of like a production guide. It's on paper and it's specifying what will be seen or heard throughout the piece. Next is the script breakdown, and so from the script, you're going to break down the script to um, list the material. So you're going to include listing the equipment that you're going to be using, and along with that, the people who are going to be using that equipment and who is needed for each scene. So that's the script breakdown. The production schedule is next, and that's just kind of like a timeline or a list of the date and time for every phase of the production. So that includes pre-production, production, and post-production phases. Next is a storyboard, and that is kind of a graphic visualization of important shots. So this includes a story outline, a shot list, just something that you can have visually so you know what you're going to be doing. And next is the budget, which obviously explains how the funds will be used in each production category. So the next question, why is pre-production needed? I kind of touched on this a little bit. Pre-production is needed just so you have an organized, smooth Production and post-production process. So the pre-production process has to be successful in order for the production and post-production process to be successful as well. Just because you need to really know what you're doing throughout the whole process. So throughout the throughout the pre-production phase, that's where you kind of lay everything out. So once you have everything laid out and it's organized, you are sure to have a successful production and post-production phase. And that kind of ties into the next question: how does pre-production relate to the other stages of production? Really just everything is, once you have everything organized in the pre-production phase, it will really set you up for success in the production and post-production phases. So for example, in the audio project that I just did with my group, we really had a successful pre-production phase because we really organized it and laid everything out, and we knew exactly what we were going to be doing when. We had a schedule of when we were going to meet, we knew what equipment we were going to be using, and we knew what editor we were going to use. So we really laid everything out in the pre-production phase, and so that made the production and the post-production phases a lot easier. All right, so I'm on E, explain the process of post-production and define the steps. So post-production is kind of what you do after you are done with the production phase, which is the shooting, the actual event. So in post-production, you are dealing with digitizing, editing, using transitions, adding visual and audio effects. Then ultimately at the end of the post-production phase, you're going to be getting your piece out there. So whether that be burning it to a DVD, uploading it to YouTube or SoundCloud, etc. So an example of this in the audio project that we did for the post-production phase, the first thing we did was digitize the material. So we put all of our sounds that we had onto my laptop, and then we imported it into GarageBand. And then once we were in GarageBand, we made cuts, we did some editing, and most of that editing was trial and error. And then at the very end of that, we uploaded it to SoundCloud. So now I'm on F. Explain the two types of analytical montage and give an example. All right, so in an analytical montage, you analyze an event for its structural elements, and then you select the essential elements and synthesize them into an intensified screen event. So there are two types of an analytical montage. That's sequential analytical and sectional analytical. In sequential analytical, you condense an event into its key developmental elements and present them in their original cause or effect sequence. So it's a natural progression. And through this natural progression, it tells a story in a shorthand fashion. So it's moving the event through time. So I have an example of an analytical montage, and it is this Sports Center clip. And throughout this clip, it just shows big events from all throughout one game. So by showing the highlights and the biggest moments of the game, it intensifies the emotions of the audience, and that's really what an analytical montage is trying to do, kind of intensify the emotions of the audience. So the other type of an analytical montage is a sectional analytical montage, and this temporarily stops the progression of an event and examines an isolated moment from several viewpoints. So this is kind of what this Sports Center montage is categorized under, would be a sectional analytical montage. This carefully examines a significant section or a specific moment. So it reveals the complexity of an event, internal intensity, emotional power, and the quality of the moment. So this would definitely go under the sectional analytical montage category because it is intensifying the emotions of the audience. All right, so the next type of montage is the idea associative montage. And in this montage, it juxtaposes two seemingly dissociated events to create a third principal idea or concept. There are two types of this: comparison idea associative and collision idea associative. So in the comparison montage, it consists of succeeding shots that juxtapose thematically related events to express or reinforce a theme or basic idea. It compares similar themes from dissimilar events. In a collision montage, is when you clash two different events to express or reinforce a basic idea or feeling. So it's combining different images to generate a new idea. An example of this is this montage from the movie Stick It. And throughout this montage, it shows one girl trying to compete with others for gymnastics. And so when you show this type of montage with a competition involved, um, this kind of reinforces this idea of the competition and how there are two different people doing similar things, but they're in different places. And so this draws the audience into the worlds of the different competitors. So that's really important in an idea associated montage where it shows two kind of dissociated events and then kind of ties them together. So I think I'm done. So yeah. Okay, bye.